Welcome to the PPI Group's webcast series. Today I'll be getting down to the basics of using Autodesk Navisworks. My name is Ken Kano and I'm a building application specialist for the PPI Group, and for the next 45 minutes I'll give you a tour of some of the basic features of Autodesk Navisworks Manage. We're going to start by looking at the workspace of Navisworks. It has tools that are both unified across all Autodesk programs and Navisworks specifics. Next, we'll look at how to build a model based on native AutoCAD files by opening and appending files as needed for our project. We'll explore the tools available to inspect, discover, interact with the 3D model. After that, we'll discover ways of manipulating files in Navisworks to view different aspects of a project. And finally, we'll finish off with Viewpoints, which are snapshots of a project that can be used for animations, reviewing, and collaborating with other members of an extended project team. Navisworks comes with several default workspaces. You can use or modify them for your own requirements. With workspaces, you can work in a custom, task-oriented design review environment. Each workspace contains a set of ribbons and windows with the tools required to perform a certain job. Workspaces can be saved and shared with other users. When you first launch the Navisworks program, a default workspace is displayed. You can choose a different workspace at any time by expanding the Load Workspace option in the View tab. Let's look at some of the features of Navisworks. Here I've got the Navisworks 2012 program open. As you can see, some of the tools are similar to Autodesk's other products. We have an application menu, which has our file tools, as well as options that we can configure Navisworks. We have a quick access toolbar and even ribbon tabs and panels, much like AutoCAD has. You can control and configure each of these tools by simply right-clicking and accessing the customized application, or right-clicking and turning on or off tabs or panels. You can even right-click on a specific tool and add it to the quick access toolbar. The drawing area has a view cube for easily navigating a model, as well as navigation tools for orbiting and panning and zooming. Situated around the outside edge of the model are control panels. Each control panel can be removed and docked in a location that you find suitable. We simply use one of the controls on the screen to locate the panel where we like it. You can pin the panels open, or you can minimize them for easier working. If I select certain items that I like open at all the time in my workspace, I can then go to the View tab and save this workspace out. Here I've got a couple of files already saved out here. I'm going to go ahead and overwrite this existing XML file. Clicking Save and replacing the existing file allows me now to overwrite what was previously set up for myself. Those XML files can also be shared out to other users that need access to the same specific tools that you're currently set up to use. We now can load different workspaces very quickly using the ribbon panel. I can switch between Navisworks Minimal, or easily go back to the workspace that I just prior set up. Quick keys in Navisworks. Navisworks does not have a command line window like Autodesk, but you can toggle the dockable windows and various navigational modes on and off by using quick keys. Most of the quick keys use the Shift key or Control key, plus other keys on the keyboard to enhance your productivity. Opening and appending files. Navisworks does not only read its own file types, such as an NWD, NWF, and NWC, but also a variety of files associated with the most common 3D CAD applications. Exporter plugins are also available for certain applications. A file can be saved in NWC or NWD format using the exporter. A number of readers exist where certain native file formats can be read directly into Navisworks. These are the preferred methods by which to view files in Navisworks. Navisworks also supports a number of additional file readers for applications without a native file reader or exporter. These applications can also usually export to or save as one of the file formats. A feature of Navisworks is that you can append multiple file types into the same scene. Thus, you can build a complex scene from smaller models that can be of any file type that Navisworks supports. Each file has its own units, and when appending more files to the scene, each file is automatically scaled to match the units of the first file loaded into the scene. Each file type has a default unit associated with it, which it uses when loading files of that type. Here I'm in Autodesk Revit architecture. I want to export this model out so I can use it inside of Navisworks. I'll go to the Add-ins tab and use External Tools. There's an exporter that was created when I installed Navisworks on my computer. I'll simply click on the Navisworks 2012 file exporter and specify what I want to call this file. There's Navisworks Settings at the very bottom of the dialog box that allow me to go in and tweak or modify some of the settings and how this is going to convert from Revit to Navisworks. We can export the entire project, current view, or a selection of items. We also can convert linked files and room attributes as needed. I want to make sure that my export room geometry is currently cleared though, as that'll cause me some problems as I'm trying to navigate down corridors and inside the building, as it'll block it and think that is an object. I'll click OK, and then I'll click Save. This is going to export the file for me into a format that Navisworks understands, which is an NWC file. The NWC file is created anytime you create or use a native CAD formatted file into Navisworks. Navisworks simplifies the process of opening these files by reading the cache file and the DWG file and deciding which one is newer. Now I'll go back to Navisworks, where I'm going to open up an NWD file that I had previously saved. Here's our file in Navisworks. I'm going to use the selection tree to look at the different pieces and the elements of the model that came in from Revit. You'll see that all of my levels are currently in here. So I have a roof level, a couple parapet levels, second floor and first floor. Each one of these can be broken down even further. I'll expand the selection tree to specific items within the model. Here is the exterior brick on metal stud wall. If I expand it, I can pick the different pieces and components of the wall, as well as the materials themselves. So you have a lot of customization that you can do for a model inside of Navisworks. Now I'm going to go back to the top of this tree, select the overall project file and right click. I'm going to go down to Units and Transform at the very bottom of the shortcut menu. This will show me what units this particular file's in. Right now this file's in feet. That means that all the other files that I append to this file will scale up or down as needed to match this foot unit. You'll also notice that the origin for this file is 0, 0, 0. That also plays an important factor when we're bringing files back in from other programs. Now, the other nice thing about using the selection tree to select items is because you can quickly select groups of items, such as the parapet and the second floor. We can right click and hide pieces of the model. We can make items required, which means that they always show up as we're moving and navigating around this particular model. I'll go ahead and turn those items back on. On the ribbon panel under the Viewpoints tab, we'll find our navigation tools. We also have a navigation bar that has the same tools located there as well. We have a steering wheel, which is synonymous for Autodesk products. We have pan and zoom windows, which you can also use your wheel button for. We have orbit tools, look around tools, and a walk/fly tool for exterior and interior modes of navigating. I'm going to zoom into this project just a little bit, just using my wheel button. I'll go ahead and pan, and using the walk tool, I can simply walk forwards or backwards in through the model. I'll jump inside of the building. Turn off my collision. We can turn on gravity if we want to land and walk on the surface, or we can walk around just by floating in the air somewhere. We'll go ahead and use the walk tool again, and now I can be inside of this room as I move around. So with Navisworks, you can easily move about a building, navigate around the building, using easy to use navigational tools. Now I'm going to move back out to the external portion of my building. Now when you're putting a model together inside of Navisworks, you come upon some of these what the heck moments, as this image shows. Somebody on this project was not talking together. Communication is vital in Navisworks. When you open files up, it's very common for files to not align correctly. One may have been moved, somebody might have changed the XYZ coordinate values. Sometimes they're even rotated out of position. You can relocate a file within the scene either by a precise distance if you know it, or by applying a transform directly to the item in the selection tree. I usually prefer to relocate the file back at the original source due to the minimal snapping tools available inside of Navisworks. And with the popularity of the building design suites, you now have that capability to do that easier than you have in the past. Back in Navisworks, I'm going to append a second file to my drawing. Now, we can't open another file because that will close down the current file. We can only have one file open at a time. We can, however, append other model pieces. Here I'm going to change this to an NWC file and find the structural portion of this project. I'll navigate out just a little bit here, and I'm going to actually change some of my lighting modes to brighten the scene up a little bit. Now, as you can see, my file is off. Structural file came in somewhere considerably distance away from the other file. I'll select the science building file and look at the units and transforms, similar to what we did with the previous file. And I can see here that the units are in feet, but however, the origin point is considerably a distance away. It's 167 feet in an X direction and 124 feet in a Y direction. Rotation looks good. So we need to actually move these two files together. And as I said, it's easier to do this in the native CAD file if possible. But since we're in Navisworks now, I'm going to go ahead and move this on my own. Now there's two ways we can move a file. I could select the CAD file here, the architectural or the structural model, right mouse click, and I can go to override item. And I'm going to override the transform. Now this was about 164 feet by 124 feet off, give or take. I'll go ahead and put those values and hit OK. And you'll see my model gets close, but we're still a little ways off. That is supposed to line up right on the end here. So we're going to have to do a little bit of more modification to this. With that selected, I'm going to go to the Review tab. The Review tab has measuring tools, and this is one of the quickest ways to modify something by giving it what they call a freehand method. I'm going to put a measuring distance on this particular file so I know how far to move the file. I'm going to use the measure tool point to point, and I'm going to click on the CAD file corner and the architectural model corner. Now you'll notice that the snaps are different. I don't have the same snap capabilities as endpoint, midpoint, and so forth. I can snap to a vertice, I can snap to a line or an edge. That's about all we have control of. With the structural file selected, I'm going to transform the selected items. Now, the way in which you pick your measure tool depends on how your object moves. If I was to pick the architectural file first, then the structural file corner, this file would actually move out by that same distance. But since I drew it from the structure to the architecture, when I select the transform selected objects, the structural file moves in place with the architectural model. So now both of my files are together in one. Now I can simply go into inside a view, and now I can see the structural model, and I can see the architectural model information. And lastly, we're going to talk about viewpoints. Viewpoints are a snapshot of the model as it's displayed in the scene. The model can be navigated to a required view. Items of the model can be hidden, and other items can be rendered with different materials and lighting. Then the finished scene can be saved as a viewpoint for further reference. In addition, you can add a variety of comments and redline tags to a saved viewpoint or combine viewpoints with a quick animation. Here I have a couple of viewpoints saved in this particular model. I have the atrium view, but I also have 3D views. These 3D views came from a camera view within Revit itself. I have one for the Revit architecture and one that's labeled Science Building for the Revit structure. This just allows you to move around your model with greater ease. Now these are not static shots or pictures, let's say, like you would take with a camera. From within any one of these viewpoints, I can still use the tools available to walk around inside of my model. I can look down corridors, evaluate, even change and look around different portions of the model from where I'm at currently. So these are not static, they're dynamic in nature. You can also right click on any viewpoint in here and edit the viewpoint. So I can adjust the parameters such as the camera position location, X, Y, and Z, the target position, X, Y, and Z, the vertical field of view angle, the horizontal field of view angle. If you make changes to your view, as I've just done, I can easily go back and change or update one of my snapshot views. This is the view I actually want to have. Now I'll just simply right click on the view name I want to update, select update. That modifies that view. That is the new view for the atrium. We also can create our own views. So once we've navigated around in the model to that perfect look that we want to save, here I'll move down to another corridor area. Kind of show the roof here and how the beams and everything go join together. And I want to save this viewpoint. I want to document this for somebody. So I'll go to the Viewpoints tab on the ribbon, and I'll save the viewpoints. I could just as easily have right-clicked and saved the viewpoints from the Saved Viewpoints panel. Call this a rear entry area. And that's, again, a snapshot of that point. Any other point I can still click on, I can come right back to this point. Viewpoints are great tools for documenting what's happening in the model as well. We can go to the review tools and draw revision clouds around things and draw text in here to give somebody an indication that there might be an issue here. I'll just make a comment, is this rafter interfering here? And now I can just simply draw a line to the bubble. Now that's something that I can export out as a JPEG image, easily email that to somebody, and start a dialogue about this issue that we see right here with rafters running into columns. Now I'm going to jump over to one other project here. This is an ice stadium, a hockey arena. And this also has a number of viewpoints. So I can look at a ground view of the actual skating arena. I can look at the entrance of the skating arena, or even look inside of the cafe. I want to create a couple of real quick animations in here. I'll start with a wide angle shot of the stadium overall. Animations tended to be very difficult to create. You need special programs like 3D Studio Max and Maya and some other Autodesk based products to create some decent animations. Now with Navisworks, I can quickly take snapshot views and create animations, or I can go to the animation panel and click record and organically just start moving around the file. We'll start by using our wide angle, and then I'm going to zoom in inside the stadium over here and get more of a close-up view. This is kind of more of a close-up view. I'm going to go ahead and create this by right-clicking on the Saved Viewpoints panel, and I'm going to save this viewpoint. And we're going to call this one Entry South. And I'm going to then create an animation. So I'm going to right mouse click and add an animation. I'll call the animation a fly in, since basically we are flying into the building. And then I'm going to simply drag and drop these views inside of this animation that I created. So I've got two cells. This is what I like to call a point-to-point animation. I pick a start point, which is going to be my wide angle. I pick an end point, which is my entry south elevation. And I just now can play this animation going from point A to point B in a straight line. You want to be careful that you don't pick one location and pick a second location, maybe lower and in the opposite corner of the building, because you'll have a tendency to fly right through the building. It doesn't understand the concept that there's stuff in the way. It just goes point A, point B, you're done. So there's a very quick animation. Now you can change the animation again by updating, just like we did with snapshots, viewpoints. We can also edit the animation. Now this is a little bit different. All we have control of is how long the animation is. The longer you put a number in here, the slower your animation is going to be. We had that set to 4, or it was set to 4 automatically. I'll set it to 10 and replay it, and this should be dramatically slower. So from this location now, I'm going to go ahead and start walking. Now, before I start walking, I want to go ahead and kind of set this up for where I'm going to be at as I'm walking. And I'm going to go to the animation tools, and I'm just going to click record. This is going to allow me now to record what I'm doing. Pan it up just a little bit. Turn on my walk tool. We'll leave gravity off. And now I'm just going to move my mouse or use my arrow keys to move about this particular file. We'll get it right up to the staircase, and then we'll go ahead and stop. We'll go ahead and stop the animation by clicking the record button one more time. And on our saved viewports panel, it has animation 1 listed for us. We'll rename this one by right-clicking. Rename it to stairs. And I'm going to combine the animations that I just created. We got the wide angle, we got the south angle. I'm going to take that last piece that we just kind of organically created, and I'm going to drag and drop it inside of the existing file. So now when I play this file, we have a much longer animation, but really a nice preview of what it would look like to fly into the building and then walk from the ground level right into the file. You can see as the file dropped below the surface of the ground, and as I brought it back up to the top, you can control your movements. You want to control your movements much better than I did, as you can get some pretty weird renderings and animations out of the program. It follows your exact movements as you're recording those. I'll go ahead and stop that animation. So that's going to conclude this webcast on getting to the basics of Navisworks. This will be on our website that you can enjoy or review again at your own speed. If you'd like to know more about Navisworks, we have one-day classes available coming up in Portland and Seattle that cover the topics from this webcast, as well as other valuable features in Navisworks, such as clash detection and timeliner. The next class available is in Seattle on May 7th, followed up by one in Portland on June 12th. We have another Navisworks webcast on May 30th, and that webcast you can sign up for by going to our website, theppigroup.com. If you have questions or in need of a technical support for Navisworks or any other Autodesk products, you can call our direct support line at 877-774-4897 or email your questions to us at support@theppigroup.com. Thank you for supporting the PPI Group in our 85th year and for attending this webcast presentation.